So Carrie Benavides, she works currently at Spooky World and is a student at Michael's School of Hair Design and Aesthetics, a Paul Mitchell Partners school. And she's going to be demoing for you today lots of different looks, tips, tricks, all about some spooky Halloween makeup. Take it away.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm excited that you're also excited to be here too. So when you're working on latex, you want to protect everybody's clothes because latex will not come off. That's why I have this lovely apron. And yeah, you can just hold right still, that's fine. And what we like to use is single ply toilet tissue. You can also use tissue paper. Let me see here. Oh well. And also cotton helps. So what I'm going to do on her before I get started is protect the hair. And what I do at Spooky World is haunt makeup. It's a little bit different than like film or makeup you might do if you're just going to take a picture for Instagram. The lighting is very dim in the haunts. So, you know, we've got some awesome lighting here today. This is a lot better than what I work in normally, even this. Usually it's a trailer, there's just a string of lights, and it's a mess. But it works because in the haunt, it's all dim lighting. You can't really see. So that's why a lot of our pieces have to be extreme. Like the mask, there's a lot of texture. So the dim lighting, the light that is there can bounce off of it. But yeah, so this way, you don't pull out your hair around the frame, which sometimes happens to poor, unfortunate people. Actually, one of my actors just recently lost a chunk of her eyebrow because her makeup artist didn't put enough Vaseline or enough in. It can happen even with the pros. And so what I do is I'll plan first. Usually what I like to do, I like to have kind of that tearaway face. So I'm going to isolate just this portion of the face. And then this would be like, probably it's going to be an exposed skull. Or we could expose this area too, have some jaw and teeth showing. But first, before we get into all that painting, we have to lay our foundation. Okay, there we go. So while we let that dry, usually what I'll do is I'll have the actor go out and blow dry their face, and then I'll get another one, do it again, and get another one, and just have like 4 or 5 actors all set with their prosthetics just blow drying. And then once I'm done the last one, then I can grab the first one and start working on their paint. And that actually brings me to a good spot. It's important to change the brushes and have a wide variety of brushes. So for wide coverage, it's good to have square brushes, round brushes, flat brushes, and then round edge flat brushes. And so these are the round brushes. Probably, would you like me to pass one around, or do you feel like, okay.
Do you just get these from like...
You can get them from Michael's. I actually found some good ones at Walmart, believe it or not, which I was shocked because Michael's didn't have the ones that I wanted. So here, I'll use some that I haven't used in a bit. I use most of them. Oh, here's a good one. So this would be an example of a round, but also a fine tip. You can play with it if you want. It's going to create a very thin line. This isn't something you'd want to use to fill. This is cracks in the skull, veins, things like that. Want to start? Just happened to be here. This is a square flat brush. This is good just for getting coverage, all over coverage. Or if you're creating something that has angles or straight lines that you want to really be careful about and make straight. Sometimes straight lines are hard. I have fibromyalgia, so I tend to shake. And my brush is what helps me. So if you use the right kind of brush, that will really get you most of the way there, even if you have the shakes. So here's one brush that can do that. I'm gonna pass this way. I have a couple of them going around. And let's see, oh, this one. Yeah, I'll use this one. This is also flat, but it's a round tip brush. And this is good also for full coverage, but the smaller version, which I'm going to hold on to because I'm going to use, is good for making teeth, believe it or not. You just dab with the white, and it actually creates a tooth shape, convincing enough tooth shape for the haunt, and it'll stand out. So we'll go back this way again. And then the other round brush, that's kind of a utility brush that just does everything. I'll use this one. Because the other one was the fine script brush. This is another one, you can get them large, medium, small. These ones create that teardrop shape. You just press down and lightly drag and lift up, and you'll get that teardrop. I'll do a little example. I'm not going to do it on your face though, just do it on my hand. So, and just get, or the blood drop. This is perfect. I use red. Okay, and again, it's all just in the shape of your brush. Okay, there you go. Okay, so I would say those four kinds of brushes, those are the best ones to get. Those are like the basics. Because there's this stipple sponge. This is a good sponge to use with your movie blood, because it'll look like blood splatter without having to actually splatter it on the person. And then this is the triangle sponge. Pretty standard, but what I do is I'll pick from the top and just create little craters all around, and that will do a similar thing as the stipple sponge. It's just softer and it's better for blending. It creates a similar effect, but this one is just better in general for blood because the movie blood is like corn syrup and it's drippy, so this sturdy material is better.
Well, Carrie was a student of mine, and I really love the work that she does. I see all the pictures and I follow her, and I think she's very, very talented, and she has a great way at approaching things, making people feel at ease and comfortable. Her energy is very much soothing, so to teach a class like this with the special effects and the wounds and the zombies, I thought Carrie would just be a great addition to the classroom, and I really wanted to get her name out there more and make sure that the kids know that, you know, if you're interested in those things, you could start here and you could be up here like Carrie has done, and she's really, really grown in all aspects of the cosmetology world.
Okay, so quick. I'll do both. So, quick old age, and then I'll turn that into zombie. Old age is basically the opposite of what we do in Cosmo School. Accentuate all the pockets. Again, that nice temple. Okay.
What color are you using, Carrie?
I'm using a shade that is essentially a contouring shade. And I'm going over all her wrinkles and whatnot. Or she doesn't have any wrinkles, I'm just going where they would be. Okay, so real quick, aging quickly. If you want to turn that from old age into zombie, then you get into your zombie wheel and you start discoloring. Also using a similar technique as the highlights and contours. Your lighter color should be on top so it catches the light, but that's going to be more of the yellow, the decomp. Try to pinch the sponge so you don't get the edges. I have a lot of edges here, but it happens.
That looks awesome.
turn.
Is that just face paint, Carrie?
Yep. This is just face paint for now. Everything is pretty bare bones. I started face painting at the Missy's Hope 5K for my uncle, and I just got hooked because it was a lot of fun just creating new faces on people. Then I went into cosmetology school so I could get a professional license for makeup, and that's when I was directed to Spooky World as a place to practice special effects makeup because I tended to gravitate towards really dramatic changes for makeup on people, and so then once I started at Spooky World, I was just hooked. For blood, you can mix Karo syrup or corn syrup with red food coloring and add a dot, take the tip of a toothpick and dip it into the blue and mix it into that so it gets a little bit of a purple gradient to it, and that will give you a really good blood color that you can drip. Yeah, it's not entirely dry over here. That's okay.
Do you like that better than like the vampire blood? Because at the school, you probably remember when we do special effects, we have the different kinds there. Did you like that better?
No, I like the movie blood better.
Yeah.
I also like to mix it with gelatin, and then it can look more like coagulated blood. In the haunt, what I would do is put, what I would do is put probably coagulated blood right along here, along the edges. That's like the thick, chunky blood.
Yeah.
And it makes the wounds look really deep. So what I'm doing there is adding texture. And you also want to add, if you can, yellow.
That camera down there real quick just for a second. Nice try.
You put me on the spot.
I did. Every once in a while, just look at the camera. You get some good before and after.
A lot of times, you know, families and friends will say, why are you going to get into cosmetology? Why would you choose that? You're not going to make money. All you're going to do is work behind a chair for 40, 60 hours a week, and that's it. And you're not going to get, you know, enough pay. I think it's great for students to show them it's creative, it's artistic, it's you putting your work and personalizing not things, but people. And that to me is huge. And you really affect a lot of people with the energy that you bring, and that can be really infectious for some people. So I really thought that it was great to show them, listen, you can do one more thing, add it to your tool belt or add it to what you want to get out there and get paid for doing.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make this. For the skeleton face, start with the white because the black is going to blend into it and smear if you put the black down first and then put the white next to it. It'll dirty your white brush and your white sponge. Speaking of which, have a designated white brush and white sponge. Even if you clean and sanitize in between each, the pigment still resides there, especially if you're doing multiple faces. So always have a special black only white only, couple of different brushes, depending on what kind of brush work you're doing. And even red too, because otherwise you'll get pink. Okay, and so this is gonna get rid of all that makeup, okay?
I don't have any on.
Okay, all right. So close. And talk to your model too. Make sure they're comfortable, because that matters. When you're applying the first part of the black, it's okay if it's messy. Go in and refine with your brush. The sponge is really just to get a lot of coverage all at once. And then so far, my professional training has been at Michael's School of Hair Design and Aesthetics. They have a makeup program there. And I've also started off as an apprentice at Spooky World. And then I was promoted to full makeup artist. So, yay. Basically, it's continuing education that our boss provides. She went to art school and has a degree, I think in metalsmithing, but when you get an art degree, you have to be well-rounded. So you learn about all these other, painting techniques. A lot of the special effects makeup techniques are painting techniques that you learn if you don't learn how to paint, or sculpt even. Masks, you do a lot of sculpture. So, it's all art. Yeah. And if you want, you can also add, discoloration. Like yellow is always fun to discolor teeth with. This looks extra yucky and disturbing. More than likely you don't have a perfectly clean dead person walking around.